George Washington was born in the late winter of 1732 on a farm in Virginia. As a young boy growing up, George loved to explore the woods around his home or play along the Rappahannock River. But what he loved the very best was riding horses. As George grew older, he became interested in the military. He became a young general in the Virginia militia and took part in many dangerous battles. He was only 21 years old, but he would learn many important lessons that would help him later on. When George was 26, he married a lady named Martha Custis. Together they made their home at Mount Vernon. George was a very good dancer and enjoyed going to parties, theaters, and races. He still loved to ride horses and became one of the best horseback riders in all of Virginia. Life for George didn't stay easy for very long. In 1775, fighting began between the colonies and Great Britain. The colonies needed someone strong to lead them through the war. George Washington was chosen to be that leader. The war was long and hard for the colonies. Their army was much smaller than the British army, and many times they were short on supplies and weapons. It was George's job to keep his men from getting discouraged. One of the hardest times in the war was the winter spent at Valley Forge. Thousands of George's men died from sickness, but George couldn't give up. When spring finally came, his army was stronger than it had ever been, and soon the fighting came to an end. The British had been beaten. George Washington was a hero for all that he had done, but his country still needed him to do more. George became the first president of the brand new country, the United States of America. He helped to set up the country's laws and government. After serving 8 years as president, George finally went home to Mount Vernon. He had spent many years away, and now he was happy to be back. On a cold, stormy day in December of 1799, George spent many hours out riding his horse around the farm. That night, he became very sick, and within days, George Washington died. All across the country, Americans were sad to lose their first president and leader. But George Washington would never be forgotten, because today his story and legacy still live on. Many places and entities have been named in honor of him. Our capital, Washington, D.C., was named after George Washington. His face can be found on the quarter and the dollar bill. Many monuments have been built to honor George. The largest is the Washington Monument. Completed in 1884, the monument stands over 550 feet tall. George is still an inspiration to many Americans today. During his lifetime, he was often called the father of his country.